Michigan legend to another. Okay, if he wasn't a Michigan legend already,
nah, he wasn't.
Now he is again.
Reborn.
Let's go to former Michigan Wolverine great, current Michigan Wolverine radio sideline analyst, the great Jayson Avant. How are you, sir?
Hey, Jay.
I'm doing well, and yourself. How you guys doing?
It's good, Jay. Good to have you, man.
What's up, my guy? I see you breaking up fights, man. Crew style.
Well, you know, if it was crew style, somebody would have got punched.
Good thing we've grown up, man. You know what I'm saying? We come a long way. It's good to see you, brother. Thank you for coming on the show as well.
Hey, Jayson,
No
let me just pick it up from here. You see, you're on the field. You see all this happening, and your instinct was to do what?
Well, you know, my first job is to find a player to interview, right? So I'm actually trying to get my job done, and I realized, okay, this is not the best. I get a call from upstairs. They're like, hey, just go into the locker room. So I'm headed to the locker room. I'm trying to avoid the fray, but then I see a jerk with a red jersey with a Michigan flag. And so I'm like, I can't allow this to happen. So I go and grab the flag. The only thing I can think of is just don't push anybody and don't swing on anybody, because I love my job and I don't want to get it.
Smart man.
So my goal was just to get the flag back, but I was very, very close to two equipment managers getting hit because they ran up on me afterwards. So it was pretty funny. I was laughing because they thought they were pushing me over, but they couldn't.
Jayson, before we get to the best win in Michigan history, I think, obviously just joking, but it's close. I want to ask you more about that fight. From your perspective, who was in the wrong? How could it have been handled different? Is Ryan Day at fault? Is Ohio State at fault? Should Michigan have gone in the locker room? What did you see kind of from that, that field angle?
This is a new generation of kids, and I can't judge them by my antiquated viewpoint. So if you look over the last 7-8 years of college football, flag planting has been something that people have done in these types of games.
Baker Mayfield.
And actually it was done to Michigan twice this year with Oregon and Texas. Michigan didn't take exception to it, and Ohio State have done similar things in the past to us. So when it comes to your turn of getting a flag planted, you take exception to it because you knew in that situation that you were going to win the game and you guys got salty for it. So does the earnest and the responsibility fall more on Ohio State? Yes, because Michigan staff was trying to break up the fight. You see Coach Sharon Moore, you see the coaching staff trying to break people up. You just saw Ryan Day standing there and observing like he does 100%. Most of the time while Michigan's kicking butt.
Hey, Jayson, let me ask you, too, just about that. I think you're right. You talk about Texas and Oregon doing it to Michigan. It happened 6 times this weekend alone. Florida at Florida State, South Carolina at Clemson, Michigan at Ohio State,
UNC and North Carolina State.
NC State at North Carolina. I mean, it's happening. Now, there seems to be a fight at every time it happened, too. But do you think college football, do you think the NCAA will make some sort of ruling against doing something like this?
It's kind of tough for the NCAA because this type of thing, even though I don't enjoy it because I don't want any of these young men getting hurt, because you never know where someone takes it too far, or if the fans, get involved and they rush the field, you never know how it goes because this is a passionate rivalry. So sometimes people feel like they're a part of it because they're in the stands as well. So this thing can go really far in the opposite direction. I will say this, if the NCAA wants to correct it, they can make a rule that there's no flags, but the chances are it's probably not, because this is bringing ratings too, and there's an organization that's about money. So they're in a catch-22 because all of these things, even though they're not always good for the game, they are good for the game financially.
Hey, Jayson, I'm not sure if you saw this or not. You are a social media celebrity unlike anybody else right now because of this. Have you gotten many texts or calls about this? I'm looking at Dave Portnoy's tweet, former Michigan alum. Dave Portnoy tweeted the video, and it was far away, so you really couldn't make out who it was initially. It says, "Who the hell is this hero yanking back the Michigan flag from Ohio? Batman?" 4 million views on that. It was you, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's so funny because at one point, like I guess first of all, I I get the flag as I'm going up the tunnel. I'm like rubbing it into the Ohio State fans that I got the flag, and I start waving it, right? So as our players
You
come
just
up,
as
I'm
bad
like
as them
waving the
kids.
flag. Yeah, they're going crazy, right? The players are going crazy. We go in the locker room, and I still got the flag, and the coaches are, we're celebrating with it. And then my phone starts going off. Boop, 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 boop. Next thing I know, I got thousands of new followers, and then it was like 500 comments, and then I want to say it was like 76 phone calls, text messages, or something like that. It was crazy. It was nuts. I was like, come on now. I was like, I played in the NFL for a long time, and I didn't get this much notoriety.
Oh my! I cannot
It's
believe
all
you
about
said
the rivalry,
that.
baby.
Jayson, that's exactly what I was going. You had one of the greatest careers as a Michigan wide receiver. You had a long career in the NFL. Yep. You were fantastic as a pro. Has anything gotten you more accolades than grabbing the Michigan flag at Ohio State?
Yeah, I'll be known, in the future as the flag man. I don't know.
Nah, you'll never be the flag man. Best hands I've ever seen on a wideout. There was another fight that actually took place that day, and that was the game itself. Jayson, we know what it was on the field, but just walk me through what you saw, how Michigan was able to win 13-10 over a Ohio State team that, if you look at the records, if you look at the stats, if you look at all this, it should have been them, but it wasn't.
Well, there's a few things, right, that aided Michigan, and I would say the D-line. And I can understand why people are so frustrated with the D-line, because Kenneth and Mason and also Rayshon Benny destroyed them the entire game, as well as our ends. And Mason kicks your butt, and he grins. He's not like one of those rah-rah tough guys. He's like kicking your butt and laughing. So it's naturally frustrating. And but those guys won up front the entire game. I thought Wink Martindale saved his best game for last, with his matchup zone, play cover 2 at times, which he is not a big stickler for most of the year, and had very few opportunities down the field for their great receivers in one-on-one situations. And when they did have them, there was PIs, but our guys were in greater and better position, even though they had a pass interference call. So I thought the defensive game plan was excellent. And you know what Michigan offense did? They didn't score a lot of points, but they held the time of possession, which gave the defense a chance to rest. Unlike Indiana, where it was 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out, the defense was fresh most of the game, and they took advantage of that. And I would say that's where the game was won. Now, as far as Ohio State is concerned, I thought the play calling for them was horrific. When you have that many receivers with that much talent, they let you know right at the end of halftime that we can go down and score if we open this offense up, and they refused to do it. They wanted to beat Michigan like they were Michigan, like running a football like they were tougher than us. They have never been tougher than us. They are a team that's on the edges, play through receivers, and they didn't do that. They wanted to beat us, and they couldn't.
Jayson, KG in the sound booth. It's an honor to talk to you, bro. And you a national hero now, man. So I'm glad you're getting your recognition.
KG's a big Michigan fan too, so he knew the hell you were way before
Oh,
this
yeah,
game.
right. I've been
KG's
here.
dialed in.
I've been
KG's
here,
dialed
man.
in.
But hey, man, I gotta ask you about Sharon Moore, because a lot has been made about Sharon Moore this year, and some of it rightfully so. Of course, how the team has performed over the season. But I thought this was his best coach game so far as a Michigan Wolverine, and I kind of got more confidence about what next year could look like with Bryce Underwood. But what are your takeaways from just how Sharon Moore coached this game and the future outlook going into 2025 with a Bryce Underwood now on the Michigan roster?
I think Sharon's our guy, and I think he's proven that. And I'll tell you this, it's just because when you lose 7 out of 22, 7 out of 22 starters, that's a bunch. You lose your head coach, you lose your strength coach, you lose your defensive coordinator, you lose basically your entire team from a national championship team. And I love Coach Jim, I love Coach Harbaugh, but his decision to wait so long kind of handicapped the decision making for the front office, so to speak, for the University of Michigan. And that affected Sharon Moore's ability to recruit a quarterback and recruit skill positions that he needed, and maybe even coaches at that point as well. So to be in every ball game and then not quit. This team had no quit the entire time. I give a lot of credit to these seniors because when you start losing 4 and 5 and you start losing these tough games, a lot of people pack it up and just, quit for the season. Mason Graham played yesterday, and Mason Graham's going to be a top 10 pick. Kenneth Grant's going to be a first rounder. If Colson wouldn't have been hurt, he would have played as well. So these guys believed in the team, and I think they did that because they love Coach Sharon Moore, and I believe that he's our guy for the future. And yesterday was a masterpiece by him. Whoever had $1,000 to put on that game, they would have made a lot of money. And I'm sure, a lot of Michigan fans are thanking Sharon Moore right now.
No doubt about it. Hey,
Ain't lying
Jayson, I
about
wanted to ask you about this offense, too, because, look, there's going to be a lot of upgrades next year. No doubt about it with the new recruits. But, when you look at the skill positions for the Michigan Wolverines, it starts with the offensive line and the run game. But what did you make of the wide receivers this year? Was the lack of production from the wide receiver position purely because they just had to protect the quarterback because they just didn't have that elite talent back there?
Yeah, I just think that the wide receiver position was hampered. Do I think that they have room for improvement? Yeah, you have a bunch of young guys, but I think that it's all about opportunities. Just think about how many times we throw the ball down the field or throw it up on a fade route in the red zone or give a receiver a chance at all. It's tough to make plays when there is nothing coming your way. And the expectation for these guys, I think, is unrealistic. But I give them a lot of credit because they block like champions. They do everything that they can to affect the football game, and they made the most of their opportunities for the most part this season. So it's kind of hard to blame them when they didn't have much opportunity to show them.